Allahu, 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 Allah, Allahu, 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 Allah, Allahu, Allahu, Allahu,
السلام ماه قرآن السلام ماه رمضان كريم السلام ماه إيمان السلام ماه قرآن السلام ماه رمضان كريم رحمت ایمان تحفہ یزدان اے ماہ رمضان السلام ماہ ایمان السلام ماہ قرآن السلام ماہ رمضان کریم الحمد لله الذي لا إله الرحمن الرحيم الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المحيمين العزيز الجبار المتكبر الخالق الباري المستوير الغفار القهار الوهاب الرزاق الفتاح العليم الخبير البصير القوي الرفيع المعز المذل السميع البصير الحكم العدل اللطيف الخبير الحليم الحكيم الغفور الشكور العالي القبير الحفيظ المقيم الحسيب الجليل القريب الرقيب المجيب الوسيع الحكيم الودود المجيد البعيث الشديد الحق الوقيل القوي المتين الولي الحميد المحسن الممضي المعيد المحيي المميت الحي القيوم الواجد الماجد الواحد الأحد الصمد القدير المقدر المقدم المخرر أول الآخر الظاهر الباطن الأول المتعال البراء التواب المنتقم العفو الرؤوف مالك الملك ذو الجلال والإكرام المقسط الجامع الغني المغني المني الضار النافع النور الهادي البديع الباقي الباري الرشيد الصبور اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل فرجهم
وعلى محمد وعلى الطيبين الطاهرين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So today we're going to look at Juz 5, and I'll start off with the bookshelf where we have 30 ajza in 114 surah. There are 30 shelves on this bookshelf. We've sort of tried to make it easy, so when you look at it, it sort of comes to life. The little knickknacks on each of the shelves as well, which highlights one or two of the ayat in that particular juz. Just a little bit of a recap. There's 30 ajza. Quran was divided into 30 equal parts. It's easy to finish in a month. But in essence, when it was revealed and put together by the Prophet, he put it together as chapters or surah and surah, 114 surah. 6,236 ayat means that if you were to memorize 3 ayat a day, you would be able to finish the Quran in approximately 6 years. It's actually 5 years, 10 months, and 13 days. Today we're going to focus on the 5th juz, which is ayah 24 to 147 of Surah An-Nisa, and that's about 123 ayat. The reason why we journal it is so that we can engage with the Quran, we can connect to the Quran. And if you were to, there's little Isa Ali journaling his Quran, and if you were to expand that a little bit, you'll see he's actually drawing the tree of immortality of Prophet Adam. It's actually beautiful, it's amazing, and I'm sure he'll never ever forget it. If he can do it, all of us can do it. Before we start journaling, or before we even touch the Quran, before we get to the Quran, it is good, it's not wajib, but it's good to do wudu, to try and recite in Arabic. If you cannot recite in Arabic, try, learn it, it's easy. Ask protection from shaitan by reciting A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Always enter in his name, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Pronounce the Declaration of Independence, which is La ilaha illallah, and then the dua of the Prophet, which in essence says, I want to fall in love with this book. I want to love this book. In other words, I want to love Allah through his book. The author is professing his love in the Quran. We as readers are seeking this love. And this dua puts it together. Make me commit my heart to your book as you have taught me. So Juz 5, like I said, is 123 ayat of Surah An-Nisa. So in the shelf, we've got Surah An-Nisa, and then we've got a cushion. And the reason why it's green is because the cushions in Jannah are green. Green is the color of Jannah. But anyway, when we come to ayah 69, we'll see why we said that. All of us know the word Rafiki, possibly from Lion King. And Rafiq is a friend. Now, when we get to the ayah, we'll understand what it's about. But I'm sure once you've done the ayah, you'll never ever forget that. And we all want to be a Rafiq. So Surah An-Nisa, in essence, we went over the key concepts of Surah An-Nisa, but in essence, these were social ethics in an Islamic society. And what was difficult to form this cohesion, to make sure the society was healthy, was enlivened, was right, was hypocrisy. So that was the greatest malady in that society. So we're going to start off with 3 ayat, 26, 27, and 28. So Surah An-Nisa, 26, 27, and 28, and they go hand in hand. I'm going to show them to you in my Quran first, so you know where they are. So that's 1, 2, and 3. So I've put 1, 2, 3. And each starts with Yuridullah. Wallahu yuridu, yuridullah. Yurid means desires or wants. So these 3 ayats tell us, what does Allah want? And you can see I've written here, what does Allah want? Now let's look at each one, and then you can highlight them in your Quran as I have done, or in the way that makes it easier for you. Yuridullah, Allah wants. لِيُبَيِّنَ لَكُمْ, that he clarifies for you. وَيَهْدِيَكُمْ, and that he guides you. سُنَنَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ, through the ways of people before you. Now in Surah Al-Fatiha, when we say اهْدِنَا الصِّرَاطَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ, the answer is صِرَاطَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ. Follow the path of those whom we have already blessed, those who have already qualified. And this is actually an ayah that's saying that's what we want to do. Look at their lives. Look at how they were successful and follow them. So Allah wants to be able, if anybody would ask, what does your God want? He wants to guide us through the ways of people before us to be able to reach our full potential. What else does he want? By the way, it's still in this ayah. He says, وَيَتُوبَ عَلَيْكُمْ. He wants to accept your tawbah. But then he makes a differentiation here. He says, Wallahu yuridu an yatuba alaykum. Again, he emphasizes that. Twice he says he wants to be able to accept our tawbah. But he says, وَيُرِيدُ الَّذِينَ يَتَّبِعُونَ الشَّهَوَاتِ, but those who follow their desires, أَن تَمِيلُوا مَيْلًا أَذِيمًا, they want to move you far away from Allah. They want to deviate you far away. So he's making comparison. He says, this is why your tawbah is not accepted, because you're following those who are trying to deviate you away. They're trying to change things and say, well, you know what, this is how it should be according to us. The third thing Allah wants, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ أَن يُخَفِّفَ عَنْكُمْ. He wants to make your burdens light. He wants to make life easy for you. He wants you to have freedom. But وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. The human being is weak. He follows those who follow their temptations. So this is how I've highlighted it. I've put يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ in green. The only bit I've put in brown is the bit where the people who follow their temptations want to put me away. So what does Allah want? I put 1:7. He wants to accept my tawbah. He wants to clarify and guide. And finally, he wishes to remove our burdens. He wants to give us freedom. So that's the first 3 ayah that we are looking at. We're now going to look at ayah 32. Okay, so if you can, and here you can highlight the whole ayah if you want. If you look at ayah 32 in my Quran, I've highlighted the whole ayah here. Let's look at what this ayah says. Okay, it says, وَلَا تَتَمَنَّوْا مَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بِهِ بَعْضُكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. Don't compare yourself to others. We're all different. Don't wish. The tamanna is wish. Don't wish for something that you think somebody's got that's better than yours. Don't do that. You may think it's better, but don't compare. Everybody is different. And then the ayah that says, the Sakina tells Imam Hussein on the day of Ashura, لِلرِّجَالِ نَصِيبٌ مِّمَّا اكْتَسَبُوا. Men will earn what they have, whatever they have strived for, whatever they will benefit from what they've earned for. وَلِلنِّسَاءِ نَصِيبٌ مِّمَّا اكْتَسَبْنَا. And women will have the benefit of what they've earned. And here it's talking about good deeds. It's talking about that which is connected to the dunya and akhirah. And then he says, if you're asking Allah, وَاسْأَلُوا مِنْ فَضْلِ. Ask him from his fadl, from his extra, from his grace. إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمًا. And Allah has knowledge over everything. This is literally when we want something that somebody else has, it's the antithesis of shukr. If you want to covet, if you want to compete with anybody, it's only with good deeds. So I'll go back to my Quran and I'll show you how I've highlighted it. So you can see I've highlighted it here. You got to have a sense of proportion in good and bad deeds. We're all different. It's the antithesis of shukr. And literally, it's how I spend my time. How do I do it? What do I do to earn my time in the dunya and the akhirah? Okay. Next ayah is 434. So, oh my goodness. And through this ayah, my goodness, people get abused big time. This one, 434, right? I've put here 3 stages. I've put men are responsible for looking after women. Now let's go through each part. I'm going to go through the first part first, which you will find on the screen. Ar-rijalu qawwamuna 'alan nisa. Men are the maintainers. They are the protectors. They are financially responsible for women. Bima faddala Allahu ba'dhum 'ala ba'd. And Allah gives everybody, and that's why I went to the ayah before that. He gives everybody different things, different aspects of them. Women are different from men. Men may holler a bit loudly. Women are more subtle, but subtlety is far more effective. There's so many things. I'm not putting one down over the other. All I'm saying is we're different. Okay. Now he says, one thing of why they are protectors of women is because bima anfaku min amwalihim. They have a financial responsibility over women. Now let's have a look at the whole ayah. Okay. وَبِمَا أَنْفَقُوا مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ. Now he's talking about women. And he says, فَالصَّالِحَاتِ. Women who are righteous. When I say salihat, they're attached to Allah. Qanitatun, they are totally committed to Allah. Hafidhatun, they guard. What do they guard? Bil ghayb, they guard in the unseen. That means they're well aware that Allah is around. Bima hafidhallah. Okay, as Allah has guarded. Now, this is where for centuries on end, women are abused because of this ayah. And I've written down here, in the shade of this ayah, women are abused. Now let's see what this ayah says. And I need you to stay with me while we go over it. So he says, فَخَافُونَ وَاللَّاتِي وَخَافُونَ. If you are scared, نُشُوزَهُنَّ, that a woman will become out of control. And this time I'm just going to look at women's side. So mentally, she's just lost it for whatever reason. he gives a 3-stage process of how to deal with it. He tells a man, first of all, the first thing that will happen is فَإِذُوهُنَّ. You will counsel them, you will talk to them, you will explain to them. We'll look at it from both sides of a relationship. The first thing you do is chat, you talk it out. Then he says, وَاهْجُرُوهُنَّ فِي الْمَضَاجِعِ. The second stage is وَاهْجُرُوهُنَّ فِي الْمَضَاجِعِ. It actually means lying on the side of the bed alone. Okay, so maybe separating yourself from her will allow her to rethink. It will she will think, oh my goodness, what's happening here? وَاضْرِبُوهُنَّ. Oh my goodness, and this is something that people just think it's about beating. Daraba, Quran says daraba is metaphorical. It's not a physical beating. It's actually saying, strike them with an example, make them wake up, give them a wake-up call. What are they doing? فَإِنَّ أَتَأْنَكُمْ فَلَا تَبْغُوا عَلَيْهِنَّ سَبِيلًا إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلِيًّا كَبِيرًا. And maybe Allah will seek a way against this because He's high and He's great. The reason for this verse is that the most important organization in the world is a family management. And He says, I have decided this. I'm telling you what to do. So if you find one party in a relationship is going nuts, absolutely nuts, the first thing is to be able to fight the one in the first stage, talk to them. Second stage, separate beds or lying on the side of the bed so that they may rethink. And the third is daraba, metaphorical. You know, in Yasin, it says Daraballahu mathalan, and gives you an example of the city. Of the people of Antioch. In the same way, give an example that will make a difference to them. It is in no way saying that there is abuse that is allowed towards women. Right, let's look at the next ayah. Now the next ayah is ayah 40, and that's no injustice. Okay, and it's all in line with the same thing. You cannot do injustice to any human being. Inna Allaha la yudlimu mithqala dharratin. So you can see I've underlined the whole ayah in green. Allah does not do injustice even to the weight of an atom. وَإِن تَكُ حَسَنَةً يُضَاعِفْهَا. Even if you do a minuscule good deed, look what He does. He multiplies it. وَيُؤْتِي مِن لَدُنْهُ أَجْرًا عَظِيمًا. He gives you a greater reward. يُضَاعِفْهَا, multiplies it so much for the tiniest of deeds. What an awesome Rabb. Right, next ayah. Again, 449. I love this, absolutely love it. So the reason why you see dates there, if you look at, I'll put my visualizer on. If you look at this is fatila. Fatila is the hair from a date stone. So what does he say? He says, Alam tara ila alladhina yudhakkuna anfusahum. Have you seen those who consider themselves pure, who consider themselves they're self-righteous? Walillahu yuzakki man yasha. It is only Allah who purifies. And you and I know, Surah 33, Ayah 33. إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. It is only Allah who purifies. It is with His permission. So He says, those who are self-righteous, who consider themselves self-righteous, they're not the ones who are pure. It's only those that Allah has made or He has chosen to be pure. And then again, justice. وَلَا يُظْلَمُونَ فَتِيلًا. He will never wrong anyone, even by the hair of a date seed. Next one, again a date. Then he says, أَمْ لَهُمْ نَصِيبٌ مِّنَ الْمُلْكِ. This is ayah 53. Do they have a share of the kingdom? فَإِذَا لَا يُؤْتُونَ النَّاسَ نَكِيرًا. If they had, they wouldn't share anything. And he said they wouldn't even share. Nakir is a speck in the bump of a date seed. Let's go back to my Quran. So if you look down here, 53, I've highlighted nakira. It's a speck that fits in the dent of the seed. So they wouldn't even give that much that fits in the dent of a date seed. Can you imagine? And it tells us, do I share? Do you share? That's what it's really talking about. Next ayah is 59. Now here, it's a dispute in judgment. So I'm going to go to 59. And you can see I've just highlighted It's all about governance. I put and it's executive and legislative judicial justice. Now let's see what happens. So he says, "O you who believe, Ati'u Allah wa Ati'u Rasul, obey Allah and the Messenger and those in authority from them. Ulil amri minkum." Okay. Then he says, فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ, if you quarrel, if you have a problem, في شيء, about anything, فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ, refer back to Allah and His Messenger, إِن كُنتُمْ تُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, if you believe in Allah and the last day, ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ وَأَحْسَنُ تَأْوِيلًا, that is better and very good, that is best for you. Now what happened? Let me go to history. This verse was revealed when the Prophet arrived in Makkah. So it's Fateh Makkah, they've won. Okay. So the Prophet calls Uthman ibn Talha. Uthman ibn Talha was the key holder of the Kaaba. And the Prophet took the key of the Kaaba so he could clean out the idols from the Kaaba. And after that, the Prophet's uncle said, "Can I be the person who looks after the keys now? I'm a believer. I believe in you and I believe in Allah and I would like to do that." And the rank of key holding of the Kaaba was a very distinguished and honorable rank amongst the Arabs. But after finishing clearing out the Kaaba, the Prophet closed the door of the house and he delivered the key back to Uthman ibn Talha and he recited this ayah. So basically it's saying that the justice that Allah and His Prophet will do, is nobody else will do that sort of justice. So you could highlight that and maybe put the story there, maybe you could put a key. So for example, in my eye, and I'm trying to do this in real time, if we look at it here, I would probably put the Kaaba like that. And I would put a key. And it would remind me of that story of Uthman ibn Talha. And it would tell me, this is what justice looks like. So now we're going to go to ayah 69. Oh my goodness. And I told you, I love this. I absolutely love it. So first I'll show it to you in my Quran. So in my Quran, as you can see, I have put Rafika as a cushion. Can you see that? But first you got to look at ayah 68, where Allah says, وَلَهَدَيْنَاهُمْ صِرَاطًا مُسْتَقِيمًا. 10 times a day, you and I say, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. So you got to look at Surah An-Nisa, ayah 67 first, because it says, these are the people we have guided to Sirat al-Mustaqima. So you and I want to know who these people are. So let's go back to the ayah. It's really important. This connects us. وَمَن يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. The first thing is they always obey Allah through His Messenger. He says, وَمَن يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ, and His Messenger. فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ. Remember we said, when the answer was, صِرَاطَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ. These are the ones on whom we have bestowed favor. So who are they? 4 groups. Nabiyyin, the prophets. Siddiqeen, those who are perpetually truthful. Sadiq is truthful. Siddiqeen, perpetually truthful. وَالشُّهَدَاء, those who have given up their lives for Allah. And that's why we pay so much importance on Ashura, on Hussein ibn Ali, on Abu Abdullah. وَالصَّالِحِينَ, those who are righteous. And then he says, وَحَسُنَ أُولَٰئِكَ رَفِيقًا. They're so awesome. And all of them, their trait is they follow Allah and their messenger, they obey Allah and their messenger, but they are Rafiqa. We all know Rafiki. And we know Rafiki from Lion King. Okay. Why does he use Rafiq? Mirfaq is a cushion. The reason why we made a green cushion is because the cushions in Jannah are green. So mirfaq, a cushion is something that you get comfort from. You lean on them, you relax on them. They are a source of tranquility. So Allah is saying, those whom I have blessed, the Nabiyyin, the Siddiqeen, the Shahada, and the Salihin, they are a source of comfort. So to you and me, we're told, am I someone who is a source of comfort to someone? Am I a true Rafiqi? Am I a true Rafiqa? And that, in essence, is what this ayah is about. So if you look at mine, I've highlighted it. An'am Allahu alayhim, I put Nabiyyin, Siddiqeen, Shahada, and Salihin, and then Rafiqa, I've put that really big. And here I've written down Rafiq from Mirfaq, a pillow or a cushion, something to lean on, relax, and a source of comfort. Right, next ayah. And this is ayah 78. And this is about death. Okay. So he says, Aynama takunu, wherever you are, yudrikumul maut. Now, I've highlighted in my Quran where I've circled yudrik. If you look here, yudrik. Yudrik comes from daraka. Daraka means to go downstairs. It actually means it creeps upon you. Wherever you are, he says, it will creep, death will creep upon you. Kuntum walau kuntum fi burujin mushayyada. Even if you are in in Dubai, you have the buruj, as they call it. Buruj is high, something that's really tall, that when you look up at it, your cap falls off. Burj Khalifa, whatever they call it. So buruj is this high thing. Even if you're in this high tower, mushayyada is impenetrable. Death will find you. And then he says, وَإِن تُصِبْهُمْ حَسَنَةٌ يَقُولُ هَذِهِ مِنْ إِنْدِ اللَّهِ. If a benefit comes to them, they say this is from Allah. وَإِن تُصِبْهُمْ سَيِّئَةٌ. But when a misfortune comes, يَقُولُ هَذِهِ مِنْ إِنْدِكَ. He's telling you. And when a misfortune befalls them, they say, this is from you. They're telling the Prophet, this is from you. But he's saying, كُلٌّ مِنْ إِنْدِ اللَّهِ. Everything is with Allah. What is wrong with this people? What is wrong with these people? Do they not understand? So they were blaming the Prophet. If anything wrong, they said, it is because you are amongst us. Although Allah says in 388, he says that it is because he's amongst you that you are not being punished. So if you look at my Quran, I've put there. And death is part of a divine plan. It's not a musibah. It is part of the whole plan. Okay, so I put it down there. Okay, asaba min musibatin, that is ayah 79. All right, let's go. We've already done this. So we're going to look at 82 now. So ayah 82 talks about tadabbur. Afala yatadabbaruna al-Quran. Why do you not ponder on the Quran? Yatadabbaru comes from dubur. Dubur means back. So yatadabbar means a 360 look, back and front. Why do you not do a 360 view of the Quran? وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ إِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ. If it was from other than Allah, you would have found لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. You would find in it so many differences. So I've highlighted it here. فَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. And at the side, I have written tadabbur. And then I've written here, real reason they haven't pondered over the Quran. Okay? So the real reason they don't ponder over the Quran is because they're scared. They will find the truth in it. All right. Let's go back. Let's go to the next ayah. Sorry. Okay. We're now going to look at Salaam. So if you go to ayah 86 in your Qurans, it's down there. Can you see that? There you go. So here Allah says, وَإِذَا حَيَّيْتُمْ. And when you are greeted, بِتَحِيَّةٍ, with a greeting. So if you're greeted with a greeting, he says, greet with a better greeting than it all return. So he's telling me, when I'm greeted with a greeting, then I must greet فَحَيُّ بِأَحْسَنِ مِنْهَا وَرُدُّهَا, better than what it is. إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ حَسِيبًا. And Allah takes account of everything. So the Prophet said, here we go. He said, do not start anything. Do not respond to anyone who doesn't start speaking without salam. Allah likes a salam to be audible. Remember, to do salam is mustahab, the jawab is wajib. But if you say salamun alaikum, 10 good deeds. If you say salamun alaikum wa rahmatullah, 20 good deeds. Salamun alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, 30 good deeds. And when this pandemic is over, then to shake hands, my God, it takes off all the burdens of the other person. When you hug someone, then sins fall off like those in autumn. So salam is something just amazing, is something else. To be the first to do salam is really, really something people strive for. So the Prophet used to strive for that. The companions one day hid in an alleyway, and they hid in the little doorways. And they said, we're going to be the first to say salam. And the Prophet came to the alleyway and he said, all of you in the alleyway, salam to all of you. So you can imagine the goodness or the greatness of being able to say salam. So what is salam? Salam in essence is peace. That is in sign language. We're saying peace upon you. So you're actually saying Allah's divine peace upon you. And after that, you're saying everything's gone. Whatever I had feelings in the back, gone. I start again with you, with peace. We are Muslims because the word comes from the word Salaam, which is peace. We are at peace with divinity. The only way you can be peace with someone is if we are able to follow and obey them. In the Quran, salam is used about 140 times. And we all know about salam at the end of our salah. Every salah, we say, Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Taslim is a phenomenal part of our lives. So again, back to my Quran. And you can see I've highlighted it and put salam in the corner. Let's go to the next ayah, and that's ayah 100. Okay. So if I show you in my Quran, and this is about hijrah. And you can see I've written hijrah and I've highlighted it in green. So let's talk about it. So he says, وَمَن يُهَاجِرْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, whoever migrates in the way of Allah, يَجِدْ فِي الْأَرْضِ مُرَاغَمًا, he will find so many places of refuge in the earth. مُرَاغَمًا كَثِيرًا وَسَعًا, and he will find lots of resources because he migrated, he did hijrah in the way of Allah. So if I lived somewhere where I cannot be attached to Allah, where I cannot be someone who can associate myself with the Quran, who can be a Muslim, then to move somewhere else is what hijrah is all about. And he says, whoever does this, whoever goes from his house, migrating to Allah and His Messenger, whoever does hijrah, and then death overtakes him. ثُمَّ يُدْرِكُهُ الْمَوْتُ فَقَدْ وَقَعَ أَجْرُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ وَكَانَ اللَّهَ غَفُورًا رَحِيمًا. He will find his reward with Allah, and Allah is forgiving and merciful. Historically, it was about those who moved from Makkah to Medina. Ragham is the earth. Raghima is land that is acquired after a struggle where you fight and dust rises. That's why it says Muraghama. So when we do that, Medina became a home to the Muslims. And this is actually saying for any of us, when we do a paradigm shift, Hijrah does not only moving a place, but also a paradigm shift in our heads. It will give us the reward that we so desire. So if I go back to my Quran, and we will see ayah 100, I have highlighted it. We'll now go on the next ayah, which is ayah 110. And ayah 110 is about sins and forgiveness. He says, وَمَن يَعْمَلْ سُوءًا, whoever does a su' comes from soul. Soul is a rotting corpse, something you don't even want to see. Whoever does that sort of an act, أَوْ يَظْلِمْ نَفْسَهُ, or who's done something wrong, acts unjustly to himself, who's done inherently a wrong deed. ثُمَّ يَسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهَ, and then he asks for forgiveness. يَجِدِ اللَّهَ غَفُورًا رَحِيمًا. I love it. He will find Allah forgiving and merciful. The onus on us is only to ask for forgiveness. So if you look there, I've highlighted it in green and I've put sins there. But I've also highlighted ayah 111 in brown. وَمَن يَكْسِبْ, whoever commits ithman, a sin. Ithman is like a tail that follows you. You know what it is? فَإِنَّمَا, he only does it ala nafsi. He only commits it against his own soul. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا, and Allah is knowing and Allah is wise. Let's go back to it. وَمَن يَكْسِبْ إِثْمًا, if you do an ithm, ala nafsihi, وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا, he is knowing and he is wise. Right, let's look at the next ayah. Next ayah is about charity. 104. It's about secrets, not charity. And I've highlighted that in my Quran. I've put secrets down there, and I've put this in brown. La khayran fi kathirin min najwahum. So what does it say? He says that secret plans, there is no good in secret meetings, in secret plans, no good at all. So when you have, let's say a madrasa meeting, I'm involved in workshops, so we have a workshop meeting. So you have a meeting once a year, once a term, when you discuss everything you're going to do in that term. And everybody has an opportunity to speak. Everybody can say that what they want. But sometimes we find people don't speak when they're supposed to. And then they go in the car park and they have these tiny little meetings, these are najwa. Or when you chit-chat to each other about something, and it's a secret. And he says there is no good in that secret except for three things. Number one, illa man amara bi sadaqah. Unless you want to do charity and you're having a secret meeting about that. Aw ma'rufin. And we talked about amr bil ma'ruf. Or you're doing something inherently good. Something that you want to do, an act of kindness, an act of good deeds that you want to do. Oh, islahin bainan nas, or you want to reconcile people. Those are the only places where secret meetings are allowed. So you can see I put that in brown, and then I've highlighted these three things in three, so I know what secrets are there, and I've written their plans in secret. The only thing that is good is sadaqah, good deeds, and reconciliation of people. Right, next ayah, 424. Let's go there. And that's gender equality. Okay, so all I've done here is highlight the ayah, put gender equality, and highlighted it in green. And basically it says, وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِنَ الصَّالِحَاتِ مِنْ ذَكَرٍ أُنْثَى, whoever does good deeds, whether you are male or female, وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ فَأُولَٰئِكَ يَدْخُلُونَ الْجَنَّةَ وَلَا يُظْلَمُونَ نَقِيرًا. And you remember nakir. Nakir is that little bit of that date seed. Do you remember? He says he will not do even a tiny bit of injustice. So there's no such thing as somebody gets more because they're of a different gender. Then ayah 135. Now this ayah is central to justice in the Quran. It's probably the central ayah of justice in the Quran. If you look at my Quran, I've put kist and justice, and I've put the central ayah of justice. I've highlighted kist in green. I've actually covered it there, and I'd like to talk about it a little bit so we understand it. It says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, kunu qawwamuna bil kist. You have to maintain justice. You have to be the maintainers of justice. That's what he's telling you and me here. Shuhada'a lillahi. Bearers of witnesses for Allah's sake. Even walau ala anfusikum, even if it's against yourself. Awil walidain, even if it's against your parents. Wal akrabin, or your close people. Or iyakun ghaniyan aw fakir, even if it is the rich or the poor. When we do injustice, it is either because we're favoring someone. We're favoring someone because we like them. Or we're not favoring them. We're against them because we don't like them. So he says, no favoritism here. You have to be just. Whether they're rich or poor, so you're not going to see what they have. You can't do that. فَاللَّهُ أَوْلَى بِهِمَا, because Allah is above all that. And then he says, فَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا الْهَوَىٰ, do not follow your inclinations, that you like somebody or you don't like somebody, and تَعْدِلُوا, that you may be deviated. وَإِن تَلْوُوا أَوْ تُعْرِضُوا. Now these are two words that I've highlighted in here, if you look here. وَإِن تَلْوُوا أَوْ تُعْرِضُوا. Talwu is when you twist your words or you manipulate your words because you're favoring someone, or not favoring them because you dislike them. Ta'ridu is you refrain from being just. He said, if you do that, Inna Allaha kana bima ta'maluna khabira. Just know that Allah is aware of what you do. So to me, this is the central ayah of justice, and that's why I've put down there central ayah of justice. Right, next one. It's 444. Oh my goodness, I love this ayah too. So let's go to it. Again. 444, I've put protective friends, and I've highlighted Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. And I've put a little post-it note here, which I will read out to you so you can see it. This is, you will believe. لا تتخذوا الكافرين أولياء من دون المؤمنين. Do not take those who cover up the truth as your protective friends, min dunil mu'minin, apart from the mu'minin. And you remember, we talked about bitana friends, and I've put there 3118, bitana friends is a cross-reference, okay? So don't take them as protective friends. Aturiduna an taj'alu lillahi alaykum sultanan mubina. Do you really wish to give them, when you make them your protective friends, they will become a proof against you. It's an admonition. So, who is a friend? This is what the Prophet said. He said, a protective friend. A friend is when you see them, they remind you of Allah. Number 2, when you talk to them, they increase your knowledge. Number 3, their deeds remind you of the dunya and the akhirah, and you want to do that too. Remember, he said, when you see the gardens of Jannah open, go quickly towards them. And the companions said, where do we go? He said, to a friend. And Imam Ali says, the most unfortunate is not the one who doesn't have a friend, is the one who had a friend and then lost them. No, you got to be a friend. It's always saying, am I that sort of a friend? Am I someone who, when somebody comes face to face to me, they can see themselves? I always quote this from the Indian song, Tujh mein Rab dikhta hai. You got to be a friend in whom you see divinity, in whom they see divinity. So it's not about looking out, it's about looking in. Am I the sort of friend that when somebody looks at me, they see divinity in me? So that in essence takes us through to the end of this juz. And inshallah, we will look at the next juz tomorrow. So, رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآله الطاهرين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد المرسلين. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس ابن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا أم المصائب زينب بنت أمير المؤمنين. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام على شهداء جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء. السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء. السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس وأنيس النفوس. السلام عليك يا أيها المدفون بأرض طوس. السلام عليك يا مضيف الشيعة والزوار في يوم الجزاء. روحي وجسمي لك الفداء ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولاي يا صاحب العصر والزمان. الأمان 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 من السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان السلام عليك يا مظهر الإيمان السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن السلام عليك يا قاطع البرهان السلام عليك يا إمام زماننا هذا عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته.